Michael, how old were you when you actually first experienced the zen of welding?
At age 9, I got my first taste of welding in my grandfather's workshop, and it was awesome.
How good were you at it?
I sucked at it.
As we all did.
I was doing good if I could get the electrode not to stick to my workpiece.
And that's an accomplishment.
You're always told when you're a kid you can't play with fire, and here I had this amazing opportunity to play with fire and not get in trouble. And I remember having my welding hood on. I just was really in my own little world under that welding hood, and it was really kind of an escape for me with what I was going through at that time in my life. Things were changing whether I wanted them to or not. So that's really the turning point when a lot of things started to slide downhill for me for many years.
In this period, even at that young of an age, you started going down the wrong path, right?
I was really left to my own devices to do and come and go as I wanted. Some days I'd wake up and I'd skateboard to school, you know, or I'd steal money from my mom's purse and then go play video games and maybe not even make it to school. And we'd be riding skateboards and we'd be doing, you know, tricks on our bicycles and all this stuff. And that's when I was first experienced with marijuana. So the alcohol and drugs never stopped. I was a bonehead. It was me forging my stepmom's signature to be able to skip school without, you know, them being alerted. My dad was working his butt off. He would teach me, you know, life skills and the morals that I needed that I live on today. But at the time, I was just like, I was in and out of jail. I got a possession charge. I got caught with some methamphetamine, and then they let me out on state probation, and I went right back into dealing drugs. When they arrested me, they knew my dog's name, they knew how much drugs I was selling for this person. And there was no denying anything. And I clearly remember the day I went that I got busted. The doors to the adjoining room swung open and it was the DEA, the FBI was there. It was a great turning point in my life because I was so unhappy doing what I was doing that I remember clearly taking a deep breath and telling myself, I don't have to do this anymore.
That's pretty interesting. You say that was a great event. And obviously sometime while you were in prison, you had to make some steps to correct your bad decisions in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. When I went to prison, I felt so guilty internally that I was doing things that ruined families. You know, when I was doing it, I was using, and so the feelings of that guilt were numb. But when I no longer had drugs inside of me, I felt huge amounts of guilt for bringing people down instead of bringing them up like I was taught, you know, in my upbringing.
So you started making better decisions. You did, what, 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years. And I really did my best to be a model inmate. The instructor said one thing one day that hit me like 2 tons of bricks, and that was, your true test to freedom is going to be if you can do what's right when no one's looking. And I didn't know at the time, but that's integrity. Yeah. And that hit hard. And I'm like, my whole life I've been doing whatever I could get away with. All I got to do is what's right when no one's looking and things get better. That was one of the most powerful turning points, you know, from that program that I took away. That allowed me to get to a point where I could be released and start doing the right thing when no one's looking. From that halfway house, I had work release program. My sister and her husband had a job lined up for me at a forklift dealership, and I didn't know a single thing about forklifts, but I went to the forklift dealership every day and I cleaned that shop like nobody's ever cleaned that shop. And things really got good. Within a 5.5 year period of time, I went from sweeping the floors in that shop to having a company vehicle, a company credit card, and then being the #1 tech at a large manufacturing facility, over 185 pieces of electrical battery-powered material handling handling equipment.
At some point in here, you bought your first Miller Welder, is that correct?
Yep. I had an interest of these chopper bicycles. My son was started coming up to visit every now and then, and I thought maybe if I can learn how to weld good and I could build these bicycles, then that'd be fun. So welding started out as a hobby, and I bought several different welders, and they were junk and they weren't working for me. And then there was a guy that I knew that had a Miller 185 that he hadn't used in 7 years, and it was just in his warehouse all dusty. He agreed to sell it to me for $750. And that Miller 185 changed everything. It was reliable. I could actually produce good looking welds with it, and that's what hooked me on Miller Welders, is that first machine. So hooked on Miller because it was working, and I'm like, I need to find a Miller TIG welder. I thought that if I could weld aluminum from my garage at home, that's going to give me an advantage over other people that tinker around in their shop, and I was right.
You stepped right from their first 2 machines into your first really professional job, right?
Yeah, I was invited to place a bid on a permanent art structure for Rock City. I won the bid. The lady called me and says, "Congratulations, you won the bid," and my heart sank. Like, I had this huge commitment I just made.
And now you have to do it, right?
And now I have to build it. But build it I did. Welcome to Invitation. This is a permanent art structure I built in 2011. Mixed media, we got carbon steel, stainless steel, and wood that we built this entire structure and planters and stuff out of. We won Artist of the Year in 2011 for this project, and it was a huge undertaking that made me feel confident that I could take on anything that I put my mind to. Each one of these walls was built in my 2-car garage, laying flat on top of sawhorses, and they're about 800 pounds a piece. I worked on this for 11 months, every night after work and every weekend. And the relationship I built with that company is probably one of the most important relationships I have today. Rock City will now call me to come and put a bid on it. They'll give me very basic directions, and they step back and they give me 100% creative freedom, and they say, do what you do, because they know I'm going to go the extra mile. I really care. And people from all over the world come to enjoy my projects there, and that's pretty flattering.
Michael, another part of your business we haven't really touched on is you also have mobile welding capabilities, correct?
Yeah, sure enough. We have our own self-contained trailer with a Miller engine drive as a power source. We have air compressors, we can take our plasma cutters. For the most part, we can do whatever we do within the shop in the field. The cool thing about our mobile welding is that we can build portions of stuff here and then actually go and install and weld things in on site. And that's a large portion of our business.
And Michael, you also work with a lot of youth groups here at Garage Bound, right?
You know, part of me righting my wrongs from the past is by giving back in a very positive and constructive way to current youth groups. 3 times a year we work with youth organizations where we have the amazing opportunity of sharing with them what we're passionate about with Miller Welders, with Miller PPE, and exposing them to plasma cutting and TIG welding and MIG welding and stick welding. We do it all right here in our 6,600 square foot facility, and we have 10 welding stations and plenty of other people that come from within the community to help facilitate that. And we have amazing corporate and local sponsors for this event, and it's just growing.
Beautiful.
We call him Rockstar. His name is Ethan. He is a rock star, man. This kid acts like he's 18. Anytime I get to spend time with him is a genuine pleasure. I've never found anybody so far that I've worked with that is just that attention detailed.
I'd go ahead and fill the gap starting where you stopped.
All right. He sold that machine and saved enough money, and I found him a Dynasty 300 DX TIG machine that's here in my shop that he comes and uses.
Excellent. Good job, buddy. Bam.
And he brags at me that his machine is 20 amps more powerful than my Dynasty 280 DX.
So starting the next generation, right?
Starting the next generation, yeah. I really feel that he's going to have something to offer, and I really hope that I can groom him into the type of employee that would be perfect for my business.
Michael, tell me why Miller?
When I buy Miller Welders, I feel like I'm buying into a product that's going to work for every need of my customers. And I share that with them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I actually market because I believe in it. I've been able to visit the Miller factory and meet these people and fall in love with the company even more because I know that every single one of them there is passionate about doing the best that they can. And if something comes back, it hurts them. And I'm like that. If something comes back from my work, which thankfully doesn't happen often, it hurts my pride. But having Miller in my corner allows me to be more successful and allows my customers to receive the best product possible. We have multiple employees at Garage Bound that share the same vision I do, and they are always constantly wanting to be better craftsmen. We practice together. No job is too small. And that's really how I collected money, collected equipment, you know, and I built it off that. And I really built up a network of customers that appreciate that, because so many other fabrication and welding shops just won't take the time to do a small job. So it's really important to me, and one of my mentors told me, don't ever forget those people and always make time for them, because that's how you started. And so we do that. So we have a lot of small odd and end jobs that come in, and then we get some very large jobs. And I can't do it all on my own, and it takes a unique team like this to be successful.
Michael, one benefit of this interview, you've got a unique opportunity. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing to Miller Electric?
Yeah, I want to thank Miller for the relationship that we've built, and for them doing such a great job building the machines that are the backbone of my business.
Well, thank you, man. And from Miller, I want to thank you for helping make us look good.
All right, thanks, Will.
Thank you. If you've got an interesting story about how you got into welding, we want to hear it. So go to our website at millerwelds.com and tell us your story.